Welcome, dear listener. The night is calm, the air is soft. Now it is your time to rest and your time to listen. These are gentle stories told in simple English. They are like quiet dreams, easy to follow, easy to enjoy. So, close your eyes, breathe slowly. Let the words move like soft rain. And now, we begin the first story. The Lost Umbrella. Mr. Thomas was a very old man. He lived in a small house. The house was at the end of a quiet street. One day, it started to rain. The rain was soft and gray. Mr. Thomas did not have an umbrella. He just stood by his window and watched the rain fall. He felt a little sad. He felt alone. He did not go outside very much. The world outside felt too big and too loud. Then he saw something. It was on the sidewalk. It was an umbrella. But this umbrella was not gray. It was very bright. It was half red and half yellow. It looked like a big, happy flower. He put on his coat and his boots. He went outside. He walked slowly to the umbrella. It was lying there, open on the ground. The wind was gentle, and the rain was soft. The bright colors of the umbrella seemed to smile at him. He felt a little shy. He picked it up. The umbrella was old, but it was strong. He closed it and held it. The colors felt warm in his hand, even though the air was cool. He walked with the umbrella. He did not know where he was going. He just walked. He walked past the post office. He walked past the small park. The red and yellow umbrella was like a friend next to him. A woman saw him. She smiled at the bright colors. Mr. Thomas felt his face turn warm. He smiled back. He had not smiled at a stranger in a very long time. It was a good feeling. The next day, it was not raining. The sky was blue, the sun was warm. But Mr. Thomas took the umbrella. He put it under his arm. He went to the small park. He sat on a bench. He watched the children play. A little girl was chasing a ball. The ball rolled near Mr. Thomas. He picked it up. He gave it to her. She looked at the red and yellow umbrella. She said, "Thank you, sir. Your umbrella is so beautiful." Mr. Thomas felt his heart feel light. He said, "Thank you. It is a happy umbrella." The little girl's mother came. She also smiled at the umbrella. She talked to Mr. Thomas for a few minutes. They talked about the weather. They talked about the park. Mr. Thomas had not talked to a person so long in many years. He felt very happy. The small, colorful umbrella was changing his life. In the afternoon, he walked to the market. He went to buy some apples. He carried the umbrella. It was still sunny. The umbrella was a colorful light in the street. An old woman was standing by the market door. She had many bags. She looked tired. Mr. Thomas went to her. He said, "Can I help you?" The woman looked surprised. She saw the bright umbrella. She smiled. She said, "Oh, thank you. You are very kind." Mr. Thomas took one of her bags. He walked with her to her house. Her house was not far. On the way, they talked. The woman said her name was Mrs. Davis. She asked Mr. Thomas his name. He told her. They talked about flowers and about simple food. When they got to her house, she invited him in for a cup of tea. He did not go inside, but he felt good. He felt like he had a new friend. He waved goodbye. He walked home. He was not alone anymore. For many days, Mr. Thomas walked with his umbrella. The weather did not matter. If it was sunny, the umbrella was a bright friend. If it was rainy, the umbrella kept him dry. He talked to many people. He found that many people were kind. He found that a simple smile was a good thing. The world outside was not too big or too loud anymore. It was full of new small stories. One day, he was walking by the small park again. A young woman was sitting on a bench. She looked sad. Next to her was an empty spot on the bench. Mr. Thomas sat down. He put his umbrella between his feet. The woman looked at him. She looked at the red and yellow umbrella. She said, "That is my umbrella. I lost it a few weeks ago." Mr. Thomas's heart stopped for 1 second. He felt a little sad. He liked the umbrella very much, but he knew it was not his. He smiled at her. He said, "It is a very good umbrella. It made me very happy." He gave it to her. The woman looked surprised. She said, "Thank you so much." He smiled and said, "No, thank you. It made me feel happy and strong." He walked home. The rain started again, a little bit. He was alone, but he was not sad. He did not have the colorful umbrella, but the feeling stayed with him. He felt happy. He felt strong. He felt like he had many friends now. He knew that the world was a good place. He did not need an umbrella to feel this way. He just needed to be open to the world. He got home and opened his door. He looked back at the street. The street was no longer gray. It was full of good memories. A new neighbor. Sarah was in her new apartment. The room was empty. The walls were white. She felt small and quiet in the big, empty space. She had just moved to a new city. She did not know anyone. She felt a little lonely. She unpacked her things very slowly. She took her books out of a box. She put them on a shelf. She put her clothes in the closet. The apartment was her home now. But it did not feel like a home. It felt like a hotel. Sarah went to the window. She looked outside. She saw other apartments. She saw people walking on the street. They all looked busy. They all looked happy. She felt like she was just watching. She was not a part of their world. She sat on the floor. She ate a simple dinner. It was just soup from a can. She did not feel like cooking. The night was quiet. She felt very, very quiet too. The next day, there was a knock on the door. Sarah felt a little scared. Who could it be? She did not know anyone here. She opened the door just a little bit. A woman was standing there. She was old. She had white hair. She had a kind face. She held a small green plant in her hands. The pot was blue. The plant had many green leaves. The woman smiled. She said, "Hello, my name is Mrs. Gable. I live next door. I heard you moved in. I wanted to say hello." Sarah was still shy. She did not know what to say. She just said, "Hello, my name is Sarah." Mrs. Gable held out the small plant. "I brought you a gift," she said. "It is a plant. It is good for the air. It is also good for the heart. It makes a room feel like a home." Sarah looked at the plant. It was small, but it was very green and alive. It felt warm in her hands. "Thank you," Sarah said. "Thank you very much." Mrs. Gable smiled again. "You are welcome," she said. "Let me know if you need anything. I am home a lot." Then she went back to her apartment. Sarah closed the door. She looked at the small green plant. She put it on the table. The empty room did not feel so empty anymore. The next day, Sarah went to a store. She bought a small watering can. She read about the plant on the internet. It needed Sunday. It needed water. It needed care. Every day, Sarah talked to the plant. She told it about her day. She told it about her books. She told it about her job. The plant was a good listener. The leaves of the plant seemed to grow bigger. Sarah felt her heart grow bigger too. She was not so shy anymore. She smiled when she looked at the plant. It was her new friend. A few days later, Sarah decided to be brave. She knocked on Mrs. Gable's door. Mrs. Gable opened the door. She looked very happy to see Sarah. "Hello, my dear," she said. "Please come in." Sarah went inside. Mrs. Gable's apartment was full of color. There were pictures on the walls. There were plants on every shelf. The room felt warm and full of life. Sarah sat on the couch. Mrs. Gable brought 2 cups of tea. "I am so happy you came to visit," Mrs. Gable said. "How is your little plant?" Sarah smiled. "It is doing very well," she said. "It is growing so much. Thank you for giving it to me." They talked for a long time. They talked about the city. They talked about simple things. Sarah told Mrs. Gable that she liked to read books. Mrs. Gable told Sarah that she liked to cook good food. They talked about their pasts. Mrs. Gable told Sarah about her old home. Sarah told Mrs. Gable about her old town. It was easy to talk to Mrs. Gable. She listened well. She was a good friend. Sarah was not shy with her. When Sarah left, she felt a new feeling. It was a good feeling. Her apartment was still quiet, but it was not lonely. It was a place for her to rest. It was a place to be peaceful. She looked at her small green plant on the table. It was her friend. She knew that she had a friend next door too. A new neighbor had come into her life. The world was not so big and scary anymore. It was just a place with kind people and small green plants. The apartment felt like a home now. Sarah knew she had made a good choice to move here. She had a friend now, the quiet library. Leo was a student. He had many books to read. He had many things to learn. Sometimes his head felt very full. It was full of words and numbers. He felt tired. He felt a little stressed. He knew he needed to study, but he also needed to rest. So, he decided to go to the city library. The library was a big old building. It was in the center of the town. He walked to the library. The street was loud. Cars drove by. People were talking on their phones. The world was busy. He walked up the steps to the library door. The door was made of dark wood. It was very big. He pushed the door. It was heavy. He walked inside. The sound of the street disappeared. It was very quiet. The air was cool. It smelled of paper and old books. It was a good smell. The library was a big room. The ceiling was very high. The windows were very big. The sun came in through the windows. The light was soft and golden. The room was full of books. There were tall shelves full of books. The shelves were made of wood. They went from the floor all the way up to the ceiling. Leo walked slowly. He felt the quiet. It was not an empty quiet. It was a calm quiet. He walked past a small table. A boy was sitting there. The boy was reading a big picture book. He was smiling. The boy was in his own quiet world. Leo walked to the back of the room. He found a chair. It was a soft chair. It was next to a window. He sat down. He put his books on a small table. He did not open them. He just Saturday. He looked out the window. He saw the park across the street. He saw the green grass and the tall trees. The world outside was still busy, but from the library window, it looked peaceful. He felt his shoulders drop. The stress was leaving his body. He closed his eyes for a moment. He listened to the quiet. He could hear the small sounds of the library. He heard the gentle turn of a page. He heard a very soft cough. He heard the sound of a pen on paper. These sounds were not loud. They were part of the quiet. They were like a soft song. He opened his eyes. He felt calm. He felt safe. This place was a good place. It was a place for rest. It was not just a place for work. After a long time, Leo picked up his book. He opened it. He started to read. The words were the same words from before. The numbers were the same numbers. But now, they did not feel so hard. His mind was clear. He could understand the words. He could think clearly. He was not worried anymore. He was just learning. He was just reading. He worked for a few hours. The sun moved across the sky. The light in the library changed. It became a softer gold. An old man came and sat at a table near him. The old man had glasses. He held a very old book. He read the book very slowly. Leo saw the man's hands on the old paper. It was a beautiful sight. A young woman walked to the front of the room. She picked up a new book. She smiled at the book. Everyone in the library was on their own journey, but they were all together in this quiet place. When it was time to go, Leo felt a little sad to leave. He closed his books. He put them in his bag. He walked slowly to the big wooden door. He stopped and looked back at the room. He looked at the high ceiling. He looked at the tall shelves. He felt his heart feel happy. He knew this feeling was from the quiet. It was from the books. It was from the good smell. He pushed the heavy door and went back into the street. The street was still loud, but Leo was not stressed. He felt new. He felt ready for his own world. He knew he could always come back to the quiet library. It was a special place. It was a secret place. It was his place, the smallest park. Lisa lived in a big city. The city was always noisy. It was full of tall buildings and fast cars. Lisa's apartment was small. She felt a little lost in the big city. She wanted to find a quiet place. One day, she was walking to the market. She was not looking at her phone. She was just looking at the street. She walked past a small alley. The alley was dark, but at the end, she saw a little bit of green. She was curious. She walked down the alley. The green was a gate. It was a very old green gate. It was a little bit rusty. She pushed it gently. It made a quiet sound. She stepped through the gate. She was in a small park. It was the smallest park she had ever seen. The park was like a secret. The city noise was gone. Here, there was only the sound of a bird. There was the sound of a small fountain. The water made a soft, peaceful sound. The park had a few trees. The trees were old. Their leaves were dark green. There were also some flowers. The flowers were small and very colorful. There was a path in the park. The path was made of small stones. She walked on the path. It was very short. It was a very small park, but it felt big. It felt like a whole world. There was a bench under a tree. It was a wooden bench. Lisa sat on the bench. She took a deep breath. The air smelled of clean earth and fresh leaves. It smelled good. She watched the water in the fountain. The water went up and then down. It was a gentle rhythm. She felt her body relax. The worries from the big city were leaving her mind. She felt very peaceful. A cat came to the park. The cat was black with white paws. The cat walked slowly. It did not make a sound. The cat looked at Lisa. Its eyes were green. Lisa smiled at the cat. The cat came closer. It jumped up on the bench. It sat next to Lisa. It was not scared. It was very calm. Lisa put her hand out slowly. She touched the cat's soft fur. The cat made a quiet sound. It was a happy sound. Lisa felt a new kind of happiness. She sat on the bench for a long time. The sun was getting lower in the sky. The golden light of the sun came through the trees. The small park looked like a dream. She knew this place was special. She did not want to leave. But it was getting dark. She said goodbye to the cat. She walked to the small green gate. She went back to the street. The city noise came back, but it did not bother her. She had a secret now, a quiet place in her heart. The next day, she came back to the park. The cat was there again. This time, she brought a small book. She sat on the bench and read the book. The cat sat on her lap. It was a perfect afternoon. Another day, she just came and watched the clouds. She watched the clouds move slowly across the blue sky. She felt like she was part of the sky. The small park was a gift. It was a gift from the city. It was a gift to herself. She did not need a big park. She did not need a big forest. She just needed this small, quiet place. It was her place. It was her secret. It was her rest. The world outside could be noisy, but she knew where to find peace. The smallest park was the biggest gift. She was not so lost anymore. She was happy now. The cozy sweater. Anna loved to make things with her hands. She did not like to just buy things. She liked to feel the materials. She liked to make something new. She was learning to knit. Knitting is when you use 2 long needles and some yarn. You make the yarn into a piece of cloth. She wanted to make a sweater. A sweater for her friend, Maria. She went to a small shop. The shop had many colors of yarn. The yarn was soft. It felt good in her hands. There was red yarn. There was blue yarn. There was yellow yarn. Anna chose a soft gray yarn. It was the color of a quiet sky. It was a cozy color. She also bought 2 needles. The needles were made of wood. They were smooth. Anna went home. She sat on her favorite chair. She put a small lamp next to her. She held the needles and the yarn. It felt a little hard at first. The yarn went on the wrong side. The needles were clumsy. She made many mistakes. But she did not give up. She was very patient. She looked at a book. She watched a video on her computer. She learned the right way. After a few days, she could do it better. She could make the yarn into small loops. The loops became rows. The rows became a small, flat square. It was the back of the sweater. It was a simple square. But it was her square. She felt very proud. The gray yarn was becoming a real thing. It was her work. She knitted every evening. After her dinner, she would sit in her chair. The room was quiet. She could hear the quiet clicking sound of the needles. Click, clack, click, clack. It was a calming sound. It was a good sound. She did not think about work. She did not think about problems. She just thought about the stitches. Each stitch was a small part of the sweater. Each stitch was a small part of her love for Maria. The sweater grew bigger and bigger. The square for the back was done. Then she made the two squares for the front. Then she made the two long pieces for the sleeves. The sleeves looked like long gray tubes. She felt the wool. It was very soft. It was very warm. She smiled when she held the pieces. It was almost a sweater. One evening, it was raining outside. The sound of the rain was soft. Anna sat in her chair with her knitting. Her cat, Leo, sat on her lap. Leo was purring. The sound of the purr was a low hum. It was a happy sound. Anna worked on the sweater. She was making the collar now. It was a little hard, but she was not worried. She was calm. She was happy. She was creating something beautiful. Finally, the sweater was done. All the pieces were made. Anna sewed them together. She used a needle and a thread. She sewed the front to the back. She sewed the sleeves to the body. It was now a real sweater. It was gray. It was soft. It was cozy. It was not perfect. The stitches were not all the same. There were some small mistakes. But Anna did not care. She thought the mistakes made the sweater special. They were part of the story. She wrapped the sweater in paper. She tied a blue ribbon around it. The next day was Maria's birthday. Anna went to Maria's house. She gave her the gift. Maria opened the paper. She saw the gray sweater. She touched it. Her eyes were big. She said, "Oh, Anna, this is so beautiful. You made this for me?" Anna felt a little shy. "Yes," she said. "It is not perfect, but it is full of love." Maria put the sweater on. It was a little big, but it was very warm. Maria hugged Anna. "This is the best gift," she said. "Thank you." Anna felt very happy. The sweater was a gift of her time. It was a gift of her patience. It was a gift of her love. It was a good feeling. It was a cozy feeling, just like the sweater. The evening cup of tea. Thomas had a long day. The day was full of work. His mind was tired. His body was tired. He came home. He closed the door. He was in his small apartment. The apartment was quiet. It was peaceful. The evening sun came through the window. It made long, soft shadows on the floor. Thomas did not turn on the television. He did not turn on the radio. He just stood there. He took a deep breath. He took his shoes off. He walked to the kitchen. The kitchen was small. It was clean. He took a small kettle. He filled the kettle with water. He put the kettle on the stove. He turned on the fire. The fire was a small blue light. The kettle began to sing. The sound was soft and low. It was a good song. It was the song of the water getting warm. He took a cup. It was a white cup. It was his favorite cup. He took a small bag of tea. The tea bag was green. He put the bag in the cup. He waited. He watched the fire under the kettle. He waited for the song to get loud. The kettle sang louder and louder. It was a happy sound. It was the sound of the end of the day. Thomas turned off the fire. He poured the hot water into the cup. He watched the water turn brown. The water became the color of the tea. A little bit of steam came from the cup. It was warm steam. The steam smelled of the tea leaves. It smelled good. It smelled of peace. Thomas took the tea bag out of the cup. He put it on a small plate. He held the cup in his hands. The cup was warm. It was a good warm feeling. He walked to his chair. He sat down. He put his feet up on a small table. He did not drink the tea yet. He just Saturday. He looked at the quiet street outside. People were walking home. The sun was going down. The sky was turning colors. It was a beautiful sight. He took a small sip of the tea. It was warm and gentle. The taste was simple. It was a calm taste. He closed his eyes. He listened to the quiet. He heard no cars. He heard no phones. He only heard the sound of his own breathing. It was slow. It was even. It was a good sound. He drank the tea slowly. Each sip was like a small moment of rest. The stress from the day was leaving his body. It was leaving his mind. The cup of tea was a small thing, but it was a very important thing. It was his ritual, his evening ritual. It was the time to be alone. It was the time to be peaceful. When the cup was empty, Thomas felt very good. He felt a little sleepy. He felt calm. He felt ready for sleep. He put the cup back in the kitchen. He put on his pajamas. He went to his bed. The room was dark. The moon was a small white light in the sky. Thomas closed his eyes. He thought about the small, quiet cup of tea. It was a simple thing, but it was a beautiful thing. He fell asleep with a peaceful mind. He knew that the next day he would have another cup of tea. He would have another moment of peace. The old clock. Mr. Henry was an old man. He lived in a quiet house. The house was full of old things. There were old chairs and old tables. There was a big old grandfather clock in the living room. The clock was very tall. It was made of dark wood. The clock was the heart of the house. It made a special sound. Tick-tock. Tick-tock. It was a slow and steady sound. It was a good sound. Mr. Henry lived alone. But with the clock, he was not so alone. The clock was like a friend. Every hour the clock would chime. It would make a deep, gentle sound. It would say, ding, ding, ding. The sound filled the house. Mr. Henry knew what time it was without looking. He knew when it was time for his tea. He knew when it was time for his dinner. He knew when it was time for sleep. The clock was always there. It was a warm, constant rhythm in his life. One morning, Mr. Henry woke up. He felt something was different. The house was too quiet. The clock was not making its sound. Tick-tock, tick-tock. The sound was gone. He walked to the living room. He looked at the clock. The big hands were not moving. They were still. The clock was silent. Mr. Henry felt a little sad. He felt a little strange. The quiet was too big. He tried to fix it. He opened the glass door of the clock. He looked at the inside. There were many small metal parts. He did not know what they were for. He was not a clockmaker. He gently touched the big metal weight. Nothing happened. The hands did not move. The quiet stayed. The house felt empty without the gentle tick-tock. Mr. Henry sat in his chair. He felt lonely. He missed the sound. He missed the rhythm. He missed his friend. He thought about his day. The day felt strange without the clock. He did not know when to make his tea. The house felt like it was holding its breath. The quiet was not a peaceful quiet. It was an empty quiet. Later, he walked to the street. He went to a small shop. The shop was for fixing things. There was a young woman in the shop. Her name was Clara. She was smiling. Mr. Henry said, "My clock is broken." Clara said, "Oh, what is wrong?" Mr. Henry said, "It is silent. It does not move." He felt very sad when he said this. Clara listened to him. She said, "I will come and look. Maybe it is not so hard." Mr. Henry felt a little bit of hope. Clara came to his house. She walked into the living room. She looked at the big, silent clock. She smiled. She said, "It is a very beautiful clock." She looked at the parts inside. She did not touch them. She just looked. She took out a very small flashlight. She looked at the small parts. Mr. Henry watched her. He felt a little better. He was not alone with his silent clock anymore. Clara smiled. She said, "I think I know the problem." She took a very thin wire. She reached inside the clock. She touched a very small part. She pulled out a small piece of dust. It was not a big piece of dust. It was a very, very small piece of dust. "This was the problem," she said. "A little dust can stop a big clock." She was very calm. She did not say anything else. She gently pushed the pendulum. The pendulum began to swing. It made a gentle sound. The hands on the clock began to move. And then the sound came back. Tick-tock, tick-tock. The sound was a little bit like a heart beating. The rhythm was back. The sound was back. The house felt full again. The quiet was gone. Mr. Henry felt tears in his eyes. He said, "Thank you so much." Clara smiled. "You are welcome," she said. "Your clock is happy again. It has its song back." She packed her things. She said, "Goodbye, Mr. Henry. I hope you have a nice evening." Mr. Henry was alone again. But he was not lonely. He sat in his chair. He listened to the clock. Tick-tock, tick-tock. The sound was so good. The sound was a song of life. It was a song of friendship. It was a song of simple happiness. He knew that even a small thing could be very important. He knew that a small piece of dust could stop a big clock. But he also knew that a small act of kindness could bring it back to life. He felt peaceful. He felt grateful. The old clock was back, and he was home. The little boat. Clara had a very busy life. Every day, her life was the same. She woke up at the same time. She drank her coffee. She walked to the train station. She went to work. She worked. She came home. She ate her dinner. She went to sleep. Her life was like a straight line. It was good, but it was not exciting. She felt like she was in a small box. One morning, it was raining. Not a big rain, just a light, soft rain. The street was wet. There were small puddles of water on the sidewalk. Clara was walking fast. She had her umbrella. She was thinking about her work. She was thinking about her long list of things to do. She was not looking at the street. Then she saw something. It was in a puddle. It was a small boat. Not a real boat, but a toy boat. It was made of wood. It had a small red sail. The boat was floating gently in the puddle. The water was still. The boat was still. It looked very peaceful. She looked at the boat. It was a little wet. She looked at the bottom of the boat. There was a name written on it. The name was Leo. Clara put the little boat in her bag. She felt a small change in her heart. The boat was a small, new thing in her busy day. It was not on her list. She got on the train. She went to work. She put the boat on her desk. She looked at it all day. It was a small, red and brown secret. She thought about the boy named Leo. She wondered if he was sad. She wondered if he missed his boat. After work, she did not go straight home. She walked to a shop. She bought a small piece of paper and a pen. She went back to the street where she found the boat. She wrote a note. The note said, "Found a small toy boat with a red sail. Is your name Leo? Please call this number." She put the small note on a light pole. She used a small piece of tape. She felt a little strange. This was not a normal thing for her to do, but she felt happy. The next day, she went to work. She did not think about the note. It was just a small thing. At her desk, she looked at the little boat. It made her smile. In the afternoon, her phone rang. It was a number she did not know. She answered it. A small voice said, "Hello? Is this the lady with the boat?" It was a little boy. His voice was happy. He said, "My name is Leo. I lost my boat. My boat is named the Happy Boat." Clara felt her heart beat faster. "Yes," she said, "I have your boat." The boy was so happy. "Oh, thank you," he said. "Can I come get it?" Clara met the boy and his father after work. They came to the coffee shop near her office. The boy, Leo, was small. He had bright eyes. He had a big smile. Clara took the little boat out of her bag. Leo's eyes were so big. He took the boat, he touched the red sail. "My happy boat," he said. He gave Clara a big hug. His hug was very strong. His father said, "Thank you so much. He loves that boat." Clara said, "You are welcome. I am happy to help." She walked home that evening. The street was the same. The sky was the same. But Clara felt different. She felt like a new person. She felt like her life was not a straight line anymore. It had small turns. It had small, good moments. She started to look at the world differently. She saw the small things. She saw a butterfly on a flower. She saw a funny drawing on the sidewalk. She saw a small smile from a stranger. Her life was still busy, but it was not in a small box anymore. It was open. It was full of small, happy things, just like the little boat, the gardener's secret. Mr. Finn had a garden. It was the most beautiful garden on the street. It was full of flowers. The flowers had many colors: red, yellow, blue, white. There were also vegetables. There were green beans and red tomatoes. The tomatoes were very big and very red. Everyone on the street loved to look at Mr. Finn's garden. It was a happy place. It was a peaceful place. A young woman lived next door to Mr. Finn. Her name was Emily. Emily had a small balcony. She had some small plants in pots, but her plants did not look so good. They were not green. The leaves were yellow. They were not happy plants. Emily wanted to know Mr. Finn's secret. One day, Emily was outside. She saw Mr. Finn in his garden. He was looking at his flowers. He was touching the leaves. He was smiling. Emily walked to the fence. She said, "Mr. Finn, your garden is so beautiful. It is like a dream. What is your secret?" Mr. Finn smiled at her. He had a kind face. He said, "There is no secret. I just take care of my plants. I give them water. I give them Sunday," Emily said. "But my plants have water and Sunday. They are not happy." Mr. Finn looked at her plants. He saw their yellow leaves. He thought for a moment. Then he said, "I do one more thing. I talk to my plants." Emily was surprised. "You talk to your plants?" she said. "Yes," said Mr. Finn. "I talk to them every day. I tell them good things. I tell them they are beautiful. I tell them I love them." He said, "A plant is alive. It is a living thing. It needs more than just water and Sunday. It needs good words. It needs love. This is my secret." Emily did not know what to think. It sounded strange, but she wanted her plants to be happy. So she decided to try. She went back to her balcony. She looked at her small, sad plants. She felt a little silly, but she said, "Hello, little plant. You are beautiful." She felt her face get warm. She did not like talking to a plant. It felt strange. But she kept doing it. Every morning, she would go to her balcony. She would give her plants a little water, and she would talk to them. "You are doing great," she would say. "Your leaves are so green." Her plants did not look better. Not at first, but something changed in Emily. She felt more peaceful. She felt more calm. When she was talking to her plants, she was not thinking about her problems. She was just thinking about the small, green life in her pots. She was putting her heart into it. One morning, she saw something new. A small, new green leaf. It was a very small leaf, but it was a new leaf. Emily felt a big happiness. She said, "Look, a new leaf. You are growing. You are so strong." She felt so proud of her plants. She was so happy. After that day, more new leaves came. The yellow leaves fell off. The plants became very green. They looked happy. Soon, a small flower came on one of the plants. It was a white flower. It was very small, but it was beautiful. Emily ran to the fence. "Mr. Finn, look, my plant has a flower." Mr. Finn smiled a big smile. "I told you," he said. "You have a good heart. Your plants feel it." Emily smiled back. She said, "Thank you, Mr. Finn. Your secret is a good secret. It is not just for plants." Emily's balcony became a small garden. She had happy plants now. But the real secret was not in the plants. The real secret was in Emily. She learned to be patient. She learned to be kind. She learned to love the small, quiet things. She learned that good words were like water, and Sunday they were not just for plants. They were for her heart too. And her heart was growing, just like her garden. The dog with a gentle tail. Tom was a small boy. He was a little bit shy. He did not like big, loud things. He did not like big, fast dogs. Tom was walking home from school. He was walking on the sidewalk. He saw a big dog. The dog was very big. It had brown fur. The dog was sitting next to a man. The man was old. He had a gentle smile. Tom felt a little scared. He held his mother's hand. He wanted to cross the street. The big dog saw Tom. The dog did not bark. The dog did not run. It just sat and looked at Tom. The dog's tail was very long. The tail started to move. It did not move fast. It moved slowly. It moved gently. It went from side to side. It was a soft, slow movement. Tom looked at the tail. The tail was like a soft brush. It was a quiet hello. The old man saw Tom looking at the dog. He said, "Hello, little boy. My dog is friendly. His name is Max." Tom was still shy. He did not say anything. The man said, "Max has a gentle tail. It tells me when he is happy." Tom watched the gentle tail. It moved again. Slow, steady, soft. It was not a fast, excited wag. It was a calm wag. It was a happy wag. Tom felt a little less scared. His mother said, "Max is a good dog. Do you want to say hello?" Tom looked at the dog. The dog's eyes were kind. The tail was still moving slowly. Tom let go of his mother's hand. He took one step. He took another step. He walked to the dog. He was very close now. He could see the dog's big brown eyes. The gentle tail moved again. It was a peaceful motion. Tom put his hand out. He was a little shaky, but the dog was still. The dog waited. Tom touched the dog's head. The fur was very soft. It was very warm. The dog did not move. Tom felt the dog's head. It was big. The dog's tail moved a little bit faster, just a little. It was a gentle, happy wag. The old man smiled. "He likes you," he said. Tom felt a smile on his face. He was not shy anymore. He was not scared anymore. The dog was not big and scary. The dog was big and soft. Tom spent a few minutes with Max. He patted his head. He spoke to him softly. He felt a big wave of happiness. The gentle wagging of the tail was a quiet language. It said, "I am happy you are here." Tom felt the feeling in his heart. It was a good feeling. It was a feeling of friendship. He said, "Goodbye, Max." The dog wagged his gentle tail. The old man said, "Come again." From that day, Tom was not so shy. When he walked to school, he looked for Max. When he saw the big brown dog, his heart felt happy. He would walk up to Max. He would pat his soft head. Max would wag his gentle tail. It was their secret greeting. Tom learned that big things could be gentle. He learned that soft movements could be big words. He learned that a gentle tail could make him brave. The world was full of big things. But they were not all loud. Some were quiet, some were gentle, some were like a slow, steady wag of a tail. And they were good. The silent bookstore. Lily loved to read. She loved books. She had many books in her small apartment. But her apartment was sometimes noisy. The street outside was noisy. The neighbors were noisy. Lily needed a quiet place. A place to be alone with her words. She was walking one day. She was looking for a new coffee shop. Then she saw it. A small old building. The sign above the door said, "The Silent Bookstore." Lily felt a little bit of magic in the air. She walked to the door. The door was old. It was made of wood. She opened the door slowly. A small bell rang, but it was not a loud sound. It was a soft, gentle sound. It was a peaceful sound. Lily walked inside. The sound of the street disappeared. It was very quiet. The air smelled of old paper and dust. It was a wonderful smell. The bookstore was small, but it was full of books. The bookshelves were very tall. They went all the way to the ceiling. The books were old. The books were new. They were about everything. There were books about stars and books about oceans. There were books about people and books about animals. Lily walked slowly between the shelves. Her feet made no sound on the floor. In the back of the store, there was a small table. There was a chair next to the table. The chair was very soft. It looked very comfortable. There was a lamp on the table. The lamp made a soft, golden light. Lily sat in the chair. She took a deep breath. The quiet of the room was like a blanket. It was a cozy, soft blanket. It felt very good. She did not pick a book at first. She just Saturday. She listened to the silence. It was not a bad silence. It was a good silence. A girl at another table turned a page of her book. The sound was soft. It was part of the quiet. Lily felt her body relax. The worries from the day were like small birds flying away. She felt her mind become very clear. After some time, she looked for a book. She wanted a special book. She walked to a shelf. Her eyes found a book. It was a very old book. The cover was brown. The name of the book was not clear. She took it from the shelf. She sat back in the chair. She opened the book. It was not a normal book. It had no words. It had only pictures. The pictures were like a story. They were pictures of a small house, a big moon, and a little star. The pictures were old and beautiful. Lily understood the story without words. The story was about a quiet night. It was about a small house. The moon and the star were friends. They watched the house all night. It was a gentle, simple story. It was the perfect story for a silent bookstore. Lily felt tears in her eyes. The tears were not sad. They were happy tears. The book with no words was the best book she had ever found. She stayed in the bookstore for a long time. She did not need to talk to anyone. She did not need to hear a sound. She was happy with the quiet. She was happy with the old books. She was happy with the story with no words. She knew this was her place. It was her secret place. When she left, the small bell rang again. It was a gentle goodbye. She went back to the street. The street was noisy again, but inside her heart, Lily still had the silence. She had the quiet feeling from the silent bookstore. And she had the memory of a story with no words. The summer wind. Sam lived in a small house. The house had a front porch. The porch had a wooden chair. On warm summer nights, Sam liked to sit in the chair. The air was warm. The sky was dark blue. The stars were like small lights in the sky. One night, Sam sat in the chair. The air was very still. The leaves on the trees did not move. The grass did not move. Everything was quiet. Sam felt a little bit lonely. He felt a little bit sleepy. He closed his eyes. He listened. There were no sounds, just the deep quiet of the night. Then he felt something on his face. It was very soft. It was very gentle. It was cool. It was a little bit of air. It was a soft wind. The wind was a visitor. It came from far away. It was a surprise. The wind touched his face again. It felt good. It felt like a friend. The leaves on the trees began to move. They made a soft sound, a rustle, a hush. It was a quiet whisper. The wind became a little bit stronger. It moved the leaves. The leaves seemed to dance. The wind moved the branches of the trees. The branches made a soft, swaying sound. It was like a very old, slow song. The wind was telling a story. It was a quiet story, a story of the sky, a story of the grass, a story of the world. Sam felt a new feeling. He felt like he was not alone. He was sitting on his porch, but he was also a part of the wind. He was a part of the trees. He was a part of the night. He opened his eyes. He saw the stars. The stars looked like they were dancing. They were dancing with the wind. The clouds were moving very slowly across the moon. The moon was a big silver light. Sam felt peaceful. The day was over. The work was done. The worries were gone. There was only this moment, the moment of the wind, the moment of the night, the moment of peace. He stayed in his chair for a long time. The wind kept coming. It was a calm friend. It was a good friend. It felt cool on his hands. It felt cool on his feet. He felt his body become very calm. He felt his mind become very still. The summer wind was a gift. It was a gift of rest. It was a gift of a quiet, beautiful moment. When the wind stopped, Sam felt sleepy. He went inside his house. He went to his bed. He closed his eyes. He could still feel the soft touch of the wind on his face. He could still hear the gentle whisper of the trees. He knew that even when things were still, there was life. There was movement. There was a quiet beauty. The summer wind was a friend that would visit again. It was a friend that would always bring peace. And he was very grateful. The boy and the missing star. Leo was a small boy. He loved the night. He loved the dark sky. The sky was like a big, soft blanket. On the blanket, there were many small lights. The lights were stars. Leo knew all the stars. He knew their names. He knew where they lived in the sky. Every night, before he went to sleep, he would look out his window. He would say good night to the stars. One night, Leo looked at the sky. He looked at his favorite stars. He saw the big, bright ones. He saw the small, quiet ones. Then he felt something was wrong. A small star was gone. It was not there. This star was a very special star. It was the star that lived next to the big moon. It was like a little friend for the moon. But tonight, it was not there. The space next to the moon was dark. Leo felt a little sad. He felt a little worried. Where did the star go? Was it lost? Was it scared? He sat on his bed and looked at the sky. The moon was big and bright, but it looked a little lonely without its small star friend. Leo closed his eyes. He tried to imagine where the star could be. He imagined he was flying. He was flying up, up, up into the dark sky. He flew to the moon. "Hello, moon," Leo said. His voice was very soft. "Did you see the little star?" The moon did not have a voice, but it had a kind face. The moon moved its face to a big, white cloud. The cloud was big and round. The cloud was just sitting there. It did not move. It looked a little bit shy. Was the star with the cloud? Leo wondered. He flew closer to the cloud. "Hello, cloud," Leo said. "Are you sad? I think you are a little shy." The cloud did not speak, but it moved a little bit. It moved to the side. Behind the cloud, Leo saw a light. It was a very small, gentle light. It was the missing star. The star was there. It was not lost. It was just hiding. It was hiding with the shy cloud. The star was making the cloud's edges shine. The cloud was a little bit happy now. Leo felt a smile on his face. He said to the star, "You were not lost. You were just with a new friend." The star shone a little bit brighter. The shy cloud moved a little bit more. Leo said, "Cloud, you are not alone. You have a friend. Star, you can go back to the moon. Your friend the moon misses you, and the cloud can be your friend too. You can both be friends." The cloud listened. The cloud seemed to understand. The cloud slowly moved away. It went to a space next to the moon. The star went with it. The star was not alone. The cloud was not alone. The star was next to the moon again. The sky looked complete again. The moon looked happy. The stars looked happy. And the cloud looked happy. Leo opened his eyes. He was back in his bed. He looked out the window. The sky was the same. The moon was in its place. The stars were in their places. The small star was next to the moon. The cloud was a little further away. But they were all still there. The sky was a peaceful place. Leo knew that things are not always lost. Sometimes they are just with a new friend. He felt a deep sense of peace. He felt his heart was full. He closed his eyes and fell asleep. He was not sad or worried anymore. The stars were all home, and he was home. The quietest river. Ben lived in a small town. The town was next to a river. The river was always there. The river was always moving. It made a sound. It was not a loud sound. It was a gentle sound. The sound of water moving over rocks. The sound was like a song, a quiet, peaceful song. Ben liked the river, but his mind was not peaceful. His mind was full of thoughts, loud thoughts, busy thoughts, thoughts about work, thoughts about the future. His mind was like a loud, busy street. One morning, Ben felt very tired. He wanted to find a quiet place. He wanted to turn off the thoughts in his head. He looked at the river. He had an idea. He would follow the river. He would go all the way to the beginning of the river. He would find the quietest part. He put on his shoes. He started to walk. He walked next to the river. The path was green. There were tall trees. He heard the sound of the water. Swish, swash. The sound was always there. He kept walking. The town became smaller. The buildings went away. The world became more green. He saw a small bird sitting on a rock. He saw small fish in the water. The fish were very fast. He walked for a long time. The sound of the river began to change. It was a little bit softer now. The water was not moving so fast. The rocks were smaller. He walked and walked. He did not think about work. He did not think about his list of things to do. He just thought about the green trees. He just thought about the sound of his feet on the path. He just thought about the quiet river. Finally, he saw something. The river was getting smaller and smaller. It was a very small stream now. The sound was so soft. It was almost a whisper. He walked a little more. And then he saw it. The beginning. The river came from a rock. It was a big, gray rock. The water came out of a small hole in the rock. The water was not moving fast. It was just a small, gentle spring. The water filled a small pool. The pool of water was completely still. It was completely silent. It was the quietest place he had ever seen. Ben sat down next to the pool. He took a deep breath. The air was clean. It smelled like earth and fresh water. He looked at the still water. The water was like a mirror. It was so clear. He saw his own face in the water. He saw the face of the sky. He sat for a long time. He did not move. He listened. There was no sound. There were no thoughts. The loud thoughts from his head were gone. They were like small clouds in the sky. They were leaving. His mind was like the still water. It was quiet. It was peaceful. He learned a secret. The secret was not a loud secret. It was a quiet secret. He learned that the quietest place is not outside. It is inside. The river's journey to the quiet spring was like his mind's journey to peace. He did not have to run away from his town. He just had to sit down. He just had to be still. He just had to find the quiet place in his heart. He stood up. He felt different. He felt light. He felt calm. He walked back down the path. The river was getting louder again, but it was okay. He knew the quiet was still inside him. He knew he could go back to his quiet place. It was always there. The quietest river was not the one he found. The quietest river was the one he now carried in his heart. He felt peaceful and grateful. The warmest scarf. Clara was a woman who loved to knit. She loved to use 2 long needles and soft yarn. She made many things. She made hats and blankets. She made sweaters and socks. She made them for her family and her friends. Knitting made her feel calm. It made her feel happy. The gentle clicking of the needles was a good sound. It was the sound of creating something. It was the sound of love. One day, a new person moved to her street. Her name was Sarah. Sarah came from a different country. She did not know anyone. She looked a little bit shy. She looked a little bit cold. Clara wanted to be a good neighbor. She wanted to say hello. She had an idea. She would knit a scarf for Sarah. A scarf that would be very warm. A scarf that would be a small gift of friendship. Clara went to her closet. She had many colors of yarn. She chose a soft, dark red yarn. The color was like a warm fire. It was the color of a good hug. She took her wooden needles. She sat in her favorite chair. She began to knit. She knitted a small stitch, then another, then another. Each stitch was a small thought, a small, kind thought for Sarah. She thought about how a scarf would feel on a cold day. She thought about how it would feel around a person's neck. She thought about how it would feel like a warm arm. She knitted for many hours. She did it every evening. The scarf grew longer. It was a straight piece of soft, red cloth. It was not perfect. Some stitches were a little big. Some stitches were a little small. But Clara did not mind. The small mistakes were part of the story. They were part of the love. One evening, it was raining outside. Clara was sitting with her knitting. She felt very peaceful. She was almost done with the scarf. Her heart was happy. She was making something for a new friend. She was making something to say, "Welcome, you are not alone." The yarn was soft in her hands. The needles made a gentle sound. Click, clack. Click, clack. It was a peaceful song. Finally, the scarf was finished. Clara cut the yarn. She tied the end. The scarf was long. It was soft. It was the color of a warm fire. It was not perfect, but it was a good scarf. It was a gift from her hands. It was a gift from her heart. She wrapped the scarf in paper. She tied a small golden ribbon around it. The next day, Clara walked to Sarah's house. She knocked on the door. Sarah opened the door. Her eyes were a little bit surprised. Clara smiled. She said, "Hello, Sarah. I am Clara. I live next door. This is for you, a small welcome gift." Sarah took the gift. She opened the paper. She saw the soft, red scarf. She took it out. She touched it with her fingers. Her face was full of surprise. She looked at Clara. Sarah put the scarf around her neck. She felt how soft it was. She felt how warm it was. She said, "Oh, Clara, it is so beautiful. It is so warm. Thank you so much." Clara smiled. "You are welcome," she said. Sarah put her arms around Clara. She gave her a hug. The hug was very warm. "It feels like a big hug," Sarah said. "It feels like the warmest scarf in the world." Clara felt happy. She knew the warmth was not just from the wool. The warmth was from the kind thoughts. The warmth was from the love she put into every stitch. The scarf was not just a piece of cloth. It was a symbol of friendship. It was a symbol of a warm welcome. It was a simple, beautiful thing. And it was the beginning of a good friendship. The boy who found a feather. Leo was a small boy. He loved to walk in the park. The park was full of big trees. The trees had many green leaves. The leaves made a soft sound when the wind blew. One day, Leo was walking. He was not looking at the trees. He was looking at the ground. He was looking for something special. He wanted to find a treasure. He looked at small rocks. He looked at small leaves. He found nothing. Then he saw something. It was on the path. It was a feather. It was a big feather. The feather was white. It was very soft. It was very clean. It looked like it came from a bird. A very big white bird. Leo picked up the feather. He held it in his hand. The feather was light. It was lighter than air. It felt soft against his fingers. He felt a small bit of magic. This was his treasure. It was a gift from the sky. He went home. He put the feather in a special box. The box was for his treasures. He had a small, shiny stone. He had a round, smooth rock. Now he had a feather. He felt happy. He felt very happy. He looked at the feather in the box. He thought about the bird. He wondered where the bird was now. He wondered if the bird was sad without its feather. He felt a little worried. The next day, Leo went back to the park. He walked to the same place. He looked up at the sky. He wanted to see a big, white bird. But there were no big, white birds. There were small birds. There were brown birds. They were singing in the trees. He listened to their songs. The songs were happy songs. They were full of sound and light. The birds flew from tree to tree. They did not seem to be sad. Leo felt a little bit better. He walked to a big tree. He sat under the tree. He took the feather out of his pocket. He held it in his hand. He looked at the feather. He thought about the birds. He thought about their songs. He thought about the sky. The sky was very blue. He felt a new idea come into his mind. The idea was that the feather was not lost. It was not a sad thing. It was a gift. The bird did not need the feather anymore. It gave the feather to him. The feather was a small piece of the sky. He held the feather up. The soft wind moved the feather. The feather seemed to dance. It was like a small white dancer. The feather was a message. The message was for him. The message was about freedom. It was about being light. It was about feeling happy. The feather was a sign from the sky. It was a sign that everything was okay. It was a sign that the world was beautiful. Leo felt a deep sense of peace. He felt his worries go away. The feather was not a lost thing. It was a found thing. It was a gift. He put the feather back in his pocket. He felt it was a secret, his own secret, a secret about the sky. A secret about the wind. A secret about peace. He walked home. He did not look at the ground anymore. He looked at the sky. He listened to the birds. He felt his heart was full. The feather was a good friend. It was a good reminder. The feather was a small white song, and he was very happy to have it. The girl and the singing shell. Lily lived near the ocean. The ocean was big. The ocean was blue. The ocean had a sound. The sound was a big, deep sound. It was the sound of the waves. Whoosh, whoosh. The sound was always there. Lily loved the sound. She loved to walk on the sand. The sand was soft under her feet. She liked to look for treasures. She looked for small, pretty stones. She looked for white shells. One day, she was walking. The sun was warm. The air was salty. She saw a shell. It was a big shell. The shell was not white. It was pink and white. It was a very beautiful shell. It was a little bit like a spiral. Lily picked it up. She held it in her hands. The shell was heavy. The shell was very smooth. She looked at the shell. It was like a small, beautiful home for the ocean. Lily had an idea. She knew a secret about shells. She put the shell to her ear. She listened. She heard a sound. It was a soft sound. It was a quiet sound. It was a singing sound. The shell was singing. It was not a song with words. It was a song with the sound of the ocean. It was a beautiful song. Lily felt so happy. She thought, "This is not just a shell. This is a singing shell." She walked home. She kept the shell to her ear. The song was always there. The song of the ocean. The song of the waves. She went inside her house. She sat on her bed. She held the shell. She listened to the song. The sound of the street disappeared. The sound of the house disappeared. There was only the sound of the shell. It was a peaceful sound. It was a calming sound. She felt her body relax. She felt her mind become quiet. The worries from the day were like small leaves. They were floating away on the sound of the shell. Lily looked at the shell. She wondered what the shell was singing. Was it singing about the big blue ocean? Was it singing about the colorful fish? Was it singing about the deep, deep water? She did not know the words, but she knew the feeling. The feeling was peace. The feeling was calm. The feeling was happiness. The shell was her new friend. It was a friend that always sang a beautiful song. Every night, before she went to sleep, Lily would take the shell. She would put it to her ear. She would listen to its song. The song would fill her room. The song would fill her heart. The song was a lullaby from the ocean. The song was a whisper from the sea. She would fall asleep to the sound. Her dreams were full of soft waves. Her dreams were full of gentle water. Her dreams were full of the beautiful blue ocean. One morning, she woke up. She felt so good. She felt so rested. She took the shell. She put it to her ear. The song was still there. It was a little bit different. It was a little bit louder. The song was telling her something. It was telling her to go to the beach, to walk on the sand, to feel the water. She listened to the song. She got dressed. She went to the beach. She felt the cool water on her feet. She felt the warm sun on her skin. She felt the wind in her hair. She felt the beautiful, deep sound of the ocean. It was all there. It was all real. And the shell had told her to go. Lily knew a secret. The shell did not just sing a song. The shell gave her peace. The shell gave her rest. The shell was a little piece of the big, beautiful ocean. It was a gift. It was a good friend. She felt a deep sense of gratitude. She felt so much love for the beautiful, singing shell. And she knew that the ocean was always there. It was always there for her, inside the shell and inside her heart. The man who planted stars. Mr. Thomas was a very old man. He lived in a house with a big garden. The garden was empty. There were no flowers. There were no trees. There was only dirt. Mr. Thomas was a little bit sad. He loved stars. He loved to look at them. But the sky above his house was sometimes not clear. The city lights were too bright. It was hard to see the stars. One night, he had an idea. It was a very special idea. He would plant stars in his garden. Not real stars. He would plant little lights that looked like stars. He went to a store. He bought many small white lights. They were like small, clear stones. Each stone had a small white light inside. They were called solar lights. They used the sun's power. Mr. Thomas went to his garden. He had a small shovel. He dug a small hole. He put one light in the hole. He covered it with dirt. He did this again and again. He put the lights in the dirt. He put them in lines. He put them in groups. He made them look like the stars in the sky. He made a big line of lights. It was like a long, bright river of stars. He made a small group of lights. It was like a small, quiet family of stars. He worked all day. He worked all evening. He was very tired, but he was also very happy. He was planting stars. He was making a new sky. He finished his work. The sun was going down. The sky was getting dark. Mr. Thomas sat in his chair. He was waiting. The garden was still dark. The lights were not on. He felt a little bit worried. Did it work? Then, the sun went all the way down. The sky was very dark. The garden was very dark. And then it happened. A small light turned on. Then another. And another. Soon, the garden was full of small, bright lights. They were like 100 stars. They were like 1,000 stars. The garden was shining. It was beautiful. It was a sky on the ground. Mr. Thomas felt tears in his eyes. He felt a big smile on his face. He did not need to look at the sky anymore. The stars were right here, in his garden. He walked outside. He walked among the stars. The lights were warm. They were gentle. He felt like he was walking in the sky. He felt like he was flying. He felt like he was a part of the stars. He sat on the ground. He looked at his lights. He felt so much peace. He felt so much happiness. He was not sad anymore. His garden was not empty. His garden was full of stars. The next day, his neighbor saw the garden. The neighbor was so surprised. "Mr. Thomas, what is this?" the neighbor said. "It is so beautiful." Mr. Thomas smiled. "I planted stars," he said. The neighbor smiled too. Mr. Thomas's garden became a special place. People came to look at the stars. Children came to play among them. The garden was no longer empty. It was full of life. It was full of light. It was full of happiness. But for Mr. Thomas, it was always more. It was a reminder. It was a reminder that you can make your own light. You can make your own stars. You can make your own sky. You can make your own peace. And a beautiful garden does not need to be full of flowers. It can be full of stars. The secret garden. Clara was a busy woman. She lived in a big city. The city was always moving. The city was always loud. Clara worked very hard. She felt tired all the time. She wanted to find a quiet place, a place to be alone, a place to feel peace. She walked every day after work. She walked through the loud streets. She looked for a quiet place. But there was no quiet place. One evening, she saw a small gate. The gate was old. It was made of wood. It was on a small street. The street was very quiet. The gate had a big lock. Clara was curious. She wanted to know what was behind the gate. She came back the next day. The gate was open. It was a little bit open. Clara looked inside. She saw green things. She saw beautiful flowers. She saw a small path. She walked inside. She walked on the small path. The gate closed softly behind her. The sound of the city disappeared. It was very, very quiet. The air smelled of flowers and wet earth. It was a good smell. The garden was small, but it was full of life. There were tall flowers. The flowers were red and yellow and blue. There were small plants. The plants had big, green leaves. There was a big tree in the middle. The tree was very old. It had a long, strong branch. Clara walked to the tree. There was a small bench under the tree. The bench was made of wood. Clara sat on the bench. She took a deep breath. She felt the peace of the garden. The peace was like a warm blanket. It was a soft, kind blanket. She closed her eyes. She listened to the sound of the garden. There was no sound, only a quiet hum. A bee was flying from a flower to another flower. It made a soft, happy sound. Clara sat there for a long time. She did not think about work. She did not think about the city. She did not think about anything. She just felt the peace. She felt the good air. She felt the warmth of the sun on her skin. She felt her body become calm. She felt her mind become still. It was the most peaceful place in the world. It was her secret place. After some time, she opened her eyes. She looked at the flowers. They were very beautiful. Each flower was a small gift. She saw a small ladybug on a leaf. The ladybug was red with black dots. It was a very small, very busy ladybug. She watched the ladybug walk on the leaf. The ladybug walked very slowly. The ladybug seemed to be in no hurry. Clara felt a smile on her face. She was in no hurry either. Clara went to the garden every evening. She would sit on the bench. She would listen to the silence. She would watch the small things, the small bees, the small ladybugs, the small leaves. The garden was her friend. The garden was her secret. It was her place of peace. One evening, she saw a small, old woman in the garden. The woman was sitting on another bench. She was looking at the sky. The sky was turning orange and pink. The woman saw Clara. She smiled. Her smile was very gentle. "Hello," the woman said. "This is a good place." "Yes," Clara said. "It is a very good place." "It is my garden," the woman said. "I am glad you found it. I am glad you are here." Clara felt her heart full of gratitude. She did not speak much to the woman. She just sat on her bench. The old woman sat on her bench. They were both in the peace of the garden. They were both looking at the beautiful sky. They were two people, but they were not alone. They were sharing the quiet. They were sharing the beauty. They were sharing the secret garden. Clara learned a secret from the garden. The secret was that peace is not hard to find. It is not far away. It is always there. You just have to be quiet. You just have to be still. You just have to find a small, secret place. The secret garden was not just a place. It was a feeling. It was a feeling of calm, a feeling of peace, a feeling of happiness. And Clara was very happy to have found it. The Baker and the Moon. Leo was a baker. He made bread, he made cakes, he made cookies, he worked at night, he worked when the city was sleeping. His bakery was quiet at night. He liked the quiet. He liked the darkness. He liked the soft light of the moon. He worked with his hands. His hands were full of flour. The flour was white and soft. He mixed the dough. The dough was soft and gentle. He kneaded the dough. It was a strong, slow movement. Leo was not just a baker. He was a baker of dreams. He put good feelings into his bread. He put good thoughts into his cakes. He looked at the moon. The moon was big and round. The moon was a quiet friend. The moon watched him work. It shone a soft, silver light through the bakery window. The light was like a gentle helper. The light made the flour shine. The light made the dough shine. The light made the pans shine. Leo worked quietly. The only sounds were the sounds of his work, the sound of the flour on the table, the soft sound of the dough, the gentle sound of the oven door. He did not feel alone. He had the moon. He had his hands. He had his good feelings. He thought about the people who would eat his bread. He thought about the people who would eat his cakes. He imagined them smiling. He imagined them feeling happy. His work was a gift. It was a gift from him to them. It was a gift of comfort. It was a gift of a warm meal. It was a gift of a sweet moment. The hours went by. The moon moved across the sky. The dough rose. The bread baked. The bakery was warm. It smelled of sugar and cinnamon and fresh bread. It was the most beautiful smell in the world. It was a smell of a good night. It was a smell of a good morning. The bread came out of the oven. It was brown and warm. It was perfect. The cakes came out of the oven. They were soft and sweet. They were perfect. The moon was starting to go down. The sky was getting lighter. The sun was going to come. Leo finished his work. He was tired. His body was tired, but his heart was not tired. His heart was full of a gentle peace. He looked out the window. The moon was low in the sky. It was a small, silver smile. Leo smiled back. He was a baker. He was a baker of dreams. He was a baker under the moon. He had a good life. It was a simple life. It was a happy life. It was a quiet life. He put on his coat. He turned off the lights. He left the bakery. The street was still dark. The city was still sleeping. He felt the cold air on his face. He felt the peace in his heart. The night was a good friend. The moon was a good friend. The bread was a good friend. He knew that the things he made were not just food. They were gifts. They were gifts of a quiet night. They were gifts of a gentle hope. And they were all made with the help of the moon. He felt so much love for his quiet night life. He felt so much love for his small, perfect bakery. He was happy. The old clock's song. Mr. John was an old man. He lived in a house. The house was quiet. Mr. John lived alone. He liked the quiet. He liked the peace. In his living room, there was an old clock. The clock was very big. It was made of brown wood. The clock was very old. It was his grandfather's clock. Mr. John loved the clock. The clock was a friend. The clock had a sound. It was a very quiet sound. Tick, tock, tick, tock. The sound was always there. It was a gentle rhythm. It was a soft song. Mr. John would sit in his chair. He would read a book, or he would just sit. He would listen to the song of the clock. Tick, tock. The sound was like a heartbeat. The sound was a reminder. It was a reminder of time. It was a reminder of life. Sometimes the clock would ring. It would ring every hour. The sound was a soft, deep sound. Bong, bong, bong. It was a kind sound. It was a friendly sound. It was a sound that told him the time. But it was also a sound that told him about the day. It was a sound that said, "The day is going, the day is calm." It was a sound that said, "Everything is okay." The clock's song was a peaceful one. Mr. John felt very lonely sometimes. The house was very quiet. His friends were not here anymore. His family was far away. But when he felt lonely, he would listen to the clock. He would listen to the tick-tock. The sound was never lonely. The sound was full of life. It was full of a good, calm rhythm. It was a rhythm that said, "You are not alone. I am here with you." The clock was a very good friend. It did not speak words, but it spoke a feeling. The feeling was peace. The feeling was comfort. The feeling was not alone. One day, the clock stopped. The tick-tock stopped. The bong stopped. The house was very quiet. Too quiet. Mr. John felt a new feeling. He felt a little bit of sadness. The clock was not singing its song. The house was empty now. The silence was not a good silence. It was an empty silence. Mr. John looked at the clock. The hands of the clock were not moving. They were still. He felt sad. He called a man to fix the clock. The man came. He was a kind man. He opened the clock. He worked for a long time. Mr. John waited. He felt worried. He wanted his clock to sing again. He wanted his friend to come back. The man finished his work. He closed the clock. He said, "It is good now." The man left. Mr. John sat in his chair. He waited. He listened. And then he heard it. Tick, tock, tick, tock. The song was back. It was a good song. It was a happy song. Mr. John felt tears in his eyes. He was so happy. The clock was his friend again. The house was no longer empty. The house was full of the soft, gentle song. Mr. John learned a lesson. He learned that some sounds are more than just sounds. They are feelings, they are memories, they are friends. The clock song was a song of life. It was a song of comfort. It was a song of peace. And he was very, very happy to listen to it. He felt so much love for his old clock and its quiet, gentle song. The man who collected the wind. Mr. Arthur was an old man. He lived in a small house. The house was on a hill. The hill was quiet. Mr. Arthur liked to listen. He listened to the world. He did not listen to music. He did not listen to the radio. He listened to the wind. The wind was a sound. The wind was a feeling. The wind was a story. Mr. Arthur wanted to keep the stories. He wanted to collect the wind. He had a small machine. The machine was a recorder. It was a very small machine. He took the machine with him. He went outside. He went to different places. He went to the tall tree. The tree was in his garden. The wind blew through the leaves. It made a soft sound, a gentle sound. Swish, Swish, swish. It was a peaceful sound. Mr. Arthur held his machine. He pressed a button. He recorded the sound. He put the sound in a small file. He called the file Garden Wind. He went to the top of the hill. The wind was different here. It was stronger. It was a little bit louder. The wind made the tall grass move. It made a sound like a quiet whisper. It was a free sound. A wild sound. Whoosh, whoosh. Mr. Arthur held his machine. He pressed the button. He recorded the sound. He put the sound in a small file. He called the file Hilltop Wind. He went to the quiet street. The street was empty. A small wind blew between the houses. It made a soft, singing sound. It was a quiet song. A city song. It was a sound of gentle movement. Mr. Arthur held his machine. He pressed the button. He recorded the sound. He put the sound in a small file. He called the file Street Wind. Mr. Arthur went home. He had many files. He had many winds. He had rainy day wind and cold night wind. He had wind in the water and wind in the sand. He had a whole collection of sounds. The sounds were his treasures. Each sound was a memory. Each sound was a moment of peace. The sounds did not have words, but they had feelings. They had stories. In the evening, Mr. Arthur would sit in his chair. He would put on his headphones. He would listen to his collection. He would listen to the garden wind. He would feel the peace of his garden. He would feel the sun on his face. He would feel the quietness of the leaves. Then he would listen to the hilltop wind. He would feel the freedom of the open space. He would feel the cool air on his face. He would feel like a bird. He would feel like he was flying. The sounds were like a journey. They took him to different places. They took him to different feelings. The world was busy and loud, but his collection of wind was not loud. It was soft. It was quiet. It was peaceful. The wind was a good friend. The wind always had a new story to tell, a new song to sing. The wind was always there. The wind was a gift, and Mr. Arthur was very happy to have it. He knew a secret. The secret was that happiness is not always a big thing. It is not always a loud thing. Happiness can be a sound. It can be a feeling. It can be a collection of gentle moments. The wind was not something you could hold, but you could keep its song, and that was a beautiful thing. It was a very peaceful thing. He felt very grateful for his collection of wind, the lost toy. Lily was a girl with a small toy. The toy was a bear. The bear was very old. The bear was brown. It had small, black eyes. The bear's name was Teddy. Lily loved Teddy very much. Teddy was her best friend. He was with her all the time. She took him to the park. She took him to the store. She took him everywhere. One day, Lily went to the park. She played on the swing. She played on the slide. She played in the sand. Teddy was with her. He was in her small bag. After a long time, Lily was tired. She went home. She went to her room. She opened her bag. Teddy was not there. The bag was empty. Lily's heart felt very sad. She started to cry. "Teddy is lost," she said. Her mother came. "What is wrong, Lily?" her mother asked. "Teddy is lost," Lily said. Her mother gave her a hug. "Maybe he is in the park," she said. "We can go back and look for him." So, they went back to the park. They looked on the swing. They looked on the slide. They looked in the sand. But Teddy was not there. Lily felt so sad. Her best friend was gone. A man was walking in the park. His name was Mr. Jones. He saw something on the ground. It was a small, brown bear. The bear looked very old. It looked very loved. Mr. Jones picked up the bear. He saw a small piece of paper. The paper was in the bear's paw. The paper had words on it. It said, "To the person who finds me, my name is Teddy. I am lost. Please help me find my home. My home is with a little girl who loves me. She is very sad now. Please, please, take me home." There was a small drawing of a house. Mr. Jones felt his heart was warm. The letter was so sweet. The letter was so full of love. He looked at the drawing. It was a simple drawing. A house with a big window and a small flower. He knew the house. It was a house on the next street. He knew it was the right house. He felt so happy. He would take Teddy home. He would help a little girl. Mr. Jones walked to the street. He found the house. It was the house from the drawing. He knocked on the door. Lily's mother opened the door. "Hello," she said. "Hello," Mr. Jones said. "I found a toy, a small bear. Is it your daughter's?" Lily's mother's eyes were wide. "Oh, yes, it is. Thank you so much," she said. Lily came to the door. She saw Mr. Jones. She saw Teddy. Lily ran to Mr. Jones. She took Teddy. She held him in her arms. She hugged him. She hugged him very tightly. "Teddy, you are home," she said. She was so happy. She looked at Mr. Jones. She gave him a big smile. "Thank you," she said. "Thank you for bringing him home." Mr. Jones smiled. "You are welcome," he said. "Teddy is a very special bear." Mr. Jones went home. He felt so good. He felt so happy. He had found a lost toy. He had helped a little girl. The day was a good day. It was a day of a small act of kindness, a small act of love. He knew that the best things in life are not big things, they are small things that make a big difference. Lily went to her room. She hugged Teddy. He was home. She was not sad anymore. She was happy. She was very happy. The old woman and the morning sun. Mrs. Ella was an old woman. She lived in a small apartment. Her apartment was on the top floor. It had a big window. The window faced the east. The east was where the sun came up. Every morning, Mrs. Ella sat in her chair. The chair was next to the window. She would sit there. She would wait for the Sunday. The waiting was a quiet time, a peaceful time. She did not wait alone. She had a cup of warm tea. The tea was her morning friend. She held the warm cup in her hands. She felt the warmth. The warmth was good. It was a good feeling. She drank the tea slowly. The taste was good. It was a gentle taste. It was a taste of a new day. Saturday. She waited. The sky was dark. It was a sleepy dark. The dark was quiet. It was a peaceful quiet. Then she would see it. The sky would start to change. It would not be dark anymore. It would be a little bit light. It would be a little bit gray. Then a small line of orange, a small line of pink. The colors would grow. The colors would get bigger. They would fill the sky. The sky was a beautiful painting. It was a painting that changed every day. The painting was a gift. It was a gift for her. Finally, the sun would come. A small part of the Sunday. A small, bright light. The light would get bigger. It would grow. It would fill the sky. The sun was here. The day was here. The sun's light came into her window. It came into her apartment. It came into her chair. It came to her hands. The sun was warm. The sun was bright. The sun was a good morning. The sun was a good friend. It was always there. It was always a new start. Mrs. Ella felt so happy. She felt so peaceful. She felt the warmth of the sun on her face. She felt the warmth of her tea in her hands. She felt the peace in her heart. The world was waking up. The city was waking up. People were going to work. Cars were moving. The world was busy. But her apartment was not busy. It was a quiet place. It was a peaceful place. It was a place for the Sunday. It was her own special place. Mrs. Ella learned a secret from the morning Sunday. The secret was that every day is a new beginning. Every day has a new light. Every day has a new warmth. Every day is a gift. The sun does not ask for anything. It just comes. It just gives its light. It just gives its warmth. It just gives its beautiful colors. Mrs. Ella was grateful for this gift. She was grateful for the simple beauty. She was grateful for the quiet moments, the moments with her tea, the moments with her Sunday. She knew that these small moments were the most important moments. They were moments of peace. They were moments of happiness. And she was so happy to have them. She was so happy to welcome the morning sun every day. The boy who talked to the stars. Tim was a boy who felt lonely sometimes. His house was quiet. His parents worked. He would sit by his window in the evening. He would look at the sky. The sky was very big. It was very dark. But in the dark, there were lights. The lights were small. They were shiny. They were stars. Tim liked to look at the stars. He felt a little bit better when he saw them. One night, the stars were very bright. There were many of them. They looked like small diamonds on a big, black cloth. Tim opened his window. The air was cool. He put his head out. He looked at the stars. He felt a small idea come into his mind. "Hello, stars," he said, in a very quiet voice. He felt a little silly, but he also felt a little bit happy. He felt like they could hear him. He talked to them. He told them about his day. "I played a game today," he said. "I found a big leaf. It was a beautiful leaf. It was a secret leaf." He told them about his feelings. "I feel a little lonely today," he said. "The house is very quiet. The toys do not talk back. The books do not talk back." He talked for a long time. The stars did not say anything back, but they listened. He felt that they listened. As he talked, he felt a change. He felt the loneliness start to go away. It was like a cloud. The cloud was moving away from his heart. The stars were not alone. There were many of them. They were all together in the big, dark sky. They were a family of lights. He was not alone either. He was a small part of the big world. The stars were a part of it. The moon was a part of it. The wind was a part of it. He was a part of it. He smiled. He felt a deep sense of peace. The stars were his friends. They were his quiet, shiny friends. He did not need them to talk. He did not need them to speak. He just needed them to listen. And they did. They listened with their bright, peaceful light. They listened with their quiet, gentle presence. They were a reminder that the world is big. A reminder that you are a small part of it. But a small part of a big, beautiful thing is a beautiful thing too. The next night, he went to the window again. He looked at the stars. "Hello again, my friends," he said. "I am here. I am happy." He felt a warm feeling in his heart. The feeling was a quiet one, a peaceful one. The feeling was a secret. His secret with the stars. His secret of peace. He knew that even on the quietest nights, he was never truly alone. The stars were always there. They were always watching. They were always listening. He felt so much gratitude for his silent, shiny friends in the sky. Now, the stories are finished. You have listened. You have learned. But most of all, you have rested. Take a slow breath. Feel the quiet around you. Sleep well, and carry these gentle English words into your dreams. Good night.